slide.
Do you know where the afters is?
Yeah, it's a DJ term.
It is,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going.
Yeah, we're rolling. Rock
Right.
and roll.
Well, welcome, Chris.
Thanks. Welcome.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, pleasure, guys. Thank you for having me, man.
No,
Exciting times.
it is exciting. Obviously, we bumped into each other in Amsterdam.
Yep.
Was it last week, week before?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Too
Already.
fast, isn't it? I know.
Wasn't expecting to see you in Soho House with that delicious beard you've got now. It feels like the last time I saw you, the hair was on the top and you had a skin.
Yeah.
And
Well,
now
the
it's
hair
transferred.
what hair I had left was hidden under a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you always used to wear a cap,
Always
didn't
had
you?
hats on. Yeah.
That's probably why you've got all the hair
This
on your
is,
chin now.
Exactly. I during lockdown, I decided my kids actually dared me just to shave my head completely, and
What is it? It was a dare. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
no,
because
it
some
was
people just give in, don't they?
Yeah.
And just go, oh, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna have to just get rid of it now.
oh no way, man!
No.
I was holding on for dear life.
Clinging on.
No way. So
I'm
the kids are like, just pick it off, Dad. I was like, yeah, all right. I did it, and I was like, oh yeah, it looks cool actually. And then decided to prove to my body that I could still grow hair on my head somewhere. So just decided to do it on my chin. I was like,
smashed it.
take that, buddy.
Those grey bits almost like you haven't like that's just natural.
That's
Yeah,
natural.
it looks
Natural
dyed
grey-
in, doesn't it,
grey
almost?
streaks.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
natural. It was like always meant to be, right? And
Oh,
everyone,
man.
who was I with at AD? Oh, Tracy from Ultra was like, you dyed those bits. So he was like, no, Tracy, I do not.
It looks like you have it. Look, it
looks
does.
cool, but I just have
looks
to
sick.
convince
Looks
everybody
meant to
that
be.
It's,
It does.
it's not dyed.
I feel
Well,
a bit left out on this beard talk. Anyway, guys.
you've not got a bad hairline still.
Exactly.
You're
But I hid mine for a long time as well.
did you?
Yeah, yeah.
Caps?
Always,
You used to wear caps
always,
all the
yeah,
time,
all the
didn't you?
time, yeah.
Yeah, man.
I had the opposite. I don't have a hair problem at all, boys. I'm sorry. I'm going to throw that out there.
Thanks.
Cunt.
Yeah. But I did chop it off.
Change
But not. Shall we move on quickly?
Yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah.
it, this is actually a touchy subject for some men, right?
Yeah, it was
Oh, yeah.
for a bit. It was, but it's just you got to let that ego go. It happens, doesn't it? You know?
But you haven't.
Testosterone, mate. That's what it is.
But you haven't got rid of all of it though. You've gone like.
Yeah,
is that a
I'm
3 or a 4?
This is stage 2.
Stage 2.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Can't wait
Yeah.
to see stage
Stage-
3.
Anyway,
Well, yeah,
I
Chris.
can't grow a beard though. That's the only problem. I'm fucked.
you're
It's
all right.
patchy.
You just asked me to move on. Now
sorry,
you're
sorry,
talking about
sorry.
hair stuff.
It's a touchy subject.
Can we fucking move
Right,
on?
come on, let's go.
Right, yeah. So, Chris, obviously, when we spoke in Amsterdam, I remember mentioning to you, it actually seemed like weeks ago that we spoke about you going for a job which wasn't related to touring.
Yep.
And I remember you were humming and how you were on the fence. I think you'd applied for a job.
Yep.
And then when we spoke 2 weeks ago, you said that you'd been there for a year.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck's happened?
Yeah.
So tell us
on November the 1st.
Yeah, exactly.
tomorrow.
Yeah, so happy anniversary for that. But
Yeah.
So how's that been? So you've obviously gone from a really busy touring life to now you've kind of transitioned. You are still doing a bit of both, but
Yeah.
how's that gone, that transition?
Yeah, I mean, I applied for the job. We were signed to Ministry, Musical Freedom, and Spinnin as artists, and yeah, it got to a point where I was kind of like, I'm in an R in as whether or not I'm at the age that I need to consider looking for another option for as part of being still involved in music, but not necessarily being away from home so much and doing the hard tour life and stuff. So yeah, I got the option to apply for this job, and yeah, I kind of got through a load of different stages and then missed out on it, and then they came back a couple of months later and said, look, we're still looking to fill this position, so
Mint.
if you'd reconsider us, we'd love to have you on board. So
So they came back to you.
yeah,
Well,
which was great. I thought I was at the running. I was really grateful for the opportunity and going, having that experience of applying for a job, which I hadn't done for like 12 years,
Yeah, fuck.
and seeing what it was like, through in music, So it was cool.
How was that feeling? Knowing that you were sort of transitioning through this next stage of your career.
I was excited. I mean, for people that are watching that may not know, I'm an A&R manager at Spinnin Records now, and you'll know this. We did Lost Records for 10 years, so I did it on a very independent level, a very DIY, do-it-yourself kind of level. Where me and John were just, sitting in the studio and listening to demos and going, "That sounds good. Let's put that out." So I had a little bit of experience, and obviously doing the project Leftwing Kody for the last 12 years and having a radio show for 4 years, I felt like, you know, I was capable of picking a good tune out. So it was still part of what I'd been doing as a professional for 12 years. So it didn't feel like that strange. But yeah, it's a very interesting position. It's coming from an artist point of view to then see how the business works on the opposite side. It can be eye-opening for sure.
And what's in terms of how your week looks now? Because I mean, from my experience as an artist, my week kind of the middle of the week was just kind of fucking recovering after the weekend. Yeah. But now for you, have you scaled the touring back?
Yeah.
Because of the new job, or is it for other reasons? Or
not necessarily because of the job, but there are a few things that I felt like I haven't taken just because this is my full-time job now. The position at Spinnin is 9 to 5.
Oh, so 40 hours.
Yeah, it's Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So I feel like, you know, I need to be fully focused on what I'm doing in that kind of role, because, you know, I do appreciate how lucky I was to be able to get that job. So I'm not going to mess it up for anything. Yeah. But there have been occasions over the last year where I have done like America in 2 days and then gone into work on like Tuesday morning after, you know, arriving back from Vegas and Houston and spending more time in the air than I have done on the ground in the countries that I'm playing in. And it adds a little bit to the job as well, because it means I'm going out and meeting artists and stuff. And there's opportunities there as well, right? To be able to speak to other artists and see if they've got any demos going that they would consider sending over to us. So it's got that kind of edge to it as well, which I know the team at Spinnin really appreciate. They've got someone on the ground that is there ready to kind of have those immediate interactions with artists, because that's how a lot of these things are done, you know.
Yeah, of course.
How was the 9 to 5 though? Is that a shock to the system, or?
Do you know what? Not really, because I was sitting around not doing much, to be honest. I was just, you know, it's one of those things where you just either listening to new tunes for the radio show or trying to knock some ideas together to then send to John for him to kind of turn into his magic and do his science stuff on it. But you know, not really. I really enjoyed it because I was super focused. I was able to have something then, rather than looking at my diary going, oh man, when are these gigs coming in?
We've all been there.
Okay, so let's take it back to the beginning a little bit. Like, what inspired you to start this musical journey?
It's cliche. Family. We're always in the music business, you know, in some way, shape or form. I was around music. My dad was a guitarist, self-taught, loved folk music. I grew up listening to like Joni Mitchell and stuff like that, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Paul Simon and Garfunkel. And and then his younger sister was in a band that were really successful like towards the end of the 80s, early 90s. Was signed to Virgin, so they were off touring, and they were always in studios in London, so I always found myself in a studio somewhere, because my parents would be cooking food for the whole band and bringing it to the studio, so they were like the caterers. So it was interesting, like seeing, you know, things be created, and I was just constantly around it, and then discovered DJing when I was about 15 years old. I remember going to like a college party, and this guy was mixing jungle, and I was like, what is going on? Like, what is this? The music hasn't stopped. Like, why is the music stopping? And then my pal was like, oh yeah, he's DJing. He's like taking 2 records and like putting them on 2 different turntables and using like a mixing desk to stop. Like, there's no break in the music. I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. So instantly.
So from 15, you just knew.
Yeah. And then I'm an only child, so I went home. As I said, it was like a Christmas college party. So on my birthday's in December, so I went home to my parents. I was like, for my birthday and my Christmas, can I get these decks? And I had like the old DJ magazine where they used to put the adverts in the back.
Sick.
And I was like, that's the ones I want. And there's like cam belt drives.
Yes. The ones you had to like take the belt off, like talk them down so they shrunk. Yeah.
That's another good technique. The technique that I had was twist the rubber band over the rotary, so it would tighten the elastic, and you'd be able to pitch mix in. It wasn't quite 12/10s, but you know,
you got them.
Yeah.
Were you like musically trained? Could you play any instruments? No,
nothing.
Tried guitar when I was a kid.
Drums, nothing.
Nope.
Recorder.
Not even.
Triangle.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
it was so funny because the only good reports I ever got out of secondary school, my mum reminded me this like years ago, was my music teacher was always the one that would say good things about me at secondary school, because I think that was the only real kind of place that I showed some initiative.
Yeah.
Every other kind of lesson or science, English, I coasted. I was just one of those people that just flew under the radar, did just enough not to get into like trouble and just pass. But my music one was the reports were always on point.
So when you did music, what was, because I'm assuming you have to play an instrument to do the course, right? Or
But not at secondary school.
Oh,
This is at secondary school.
Did
But
you
then-
not go to?
yeah. But they used to put us in like groups, and then you'd have to like do a project.
No,
Right?
there was nothing like that
Okay,
going on.
okay.
No, it was just
Did I just go
basically.
to a really fucking good one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was public. It wasn't like I didn't go
Yeah,
private.
all
Yeah,
right.
honestly.
yeah, of course it was.
Yeah.
Do you know me?
Fucking groups of music classes.
Bentley outside.
Right, okay, here we go. This is where you go to play the orchestral.
yeah, the violin.
Here, man, stop picking on us. It's my fucking podcast. Fuck, see, I'll kick you off in a minute.
So once you've you got the decks.
Yeah. So DJing was my passion. I remember like just buying records.
What was your first record?
David Riley's remix of Spice Girls.
No, was it?
Yeah.
I don't think I've even heard of it. I don't know. I'm just surprised it's Spice
yeah,
Girls.
yeah.
It's your
Wannabe.
first record.
Yeah. And it was a David Morales remix though.
I thought you said someone else.
No.
David Morales. I was like, that makes more sense. It's like, what, just a Spice Girls radio edit or something? Fuck. What are you on about? All right, it's wicked.
No, and then it was the Tony Braxton "Unbreak My Heart" as well. I had that really early. So
And did when you learned to mix, because I think I spoke about this on the first episode. I learned to mix. I was told to get 2 tracks.
Yeah.
And just fucking absolutely nail those 2 tracks.
Yeah.
Is that what you did?
oh yeah, just you knew
Yeah.
like once it's technique. I think there's some mystery around DJing and stuff like that. Maybe not so much these days, just the technology, but you know the technique of it is quite easy to learn. It's quite easy to pick up. The skill of being a DJ is knowing your music inside out and knowing what to play and when to play it and knowing when the breaks are, and all that kind of stuff's changed now because we've moved on from vinyl. But I think
I saw a bit of sadness in you there. We've moved on from vinyl.
listen, I'm very progressive. I don't mind all this new stuff coming in. I think everyone should get the opportunity if they've got the skills or the passion or the dream or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever you use as your instrument or your tool, doesn't matter.
No.
It's how you use it.
Because you still got to be skilled, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Even with CDJs, you still got to have skill there. Whether it's,
But I remember when people used to, when CDJs started becoming more popular, people were slating CDJs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course.
That was the first step, and it was like, well, you're not a real DJ unless you're playing on wax. And what are you talking about? And now CDJs are like, now what everyone's going to controllers, and some people playing Ableton Live, but controllers are the new thing, right?
Yeah.
Everything's synced up, but there's so much more you can do, and almost pump that creativeness into creating everything in between the breaks.
This is it.
The sampling in between tracks and creating something off the fly. It's something I've never done, but the opportunities there are endless when it comes to live performance.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that because I speak to a lot of artists that I'm trying to develop and stuff through my NL role. And just one in particular who hasn't necessarily got DJ skills, but he makes all his music on Ableton. So I'm saying to him, look, like, learn how to do this in a live element, because a lot of people are DJs now, let's face it.
Yeah.
But if you've got a USP of, you like my record, you come to my show, you're going to hear a version of this record that you like that no one else will ever hear again, because I'm going to do something that's only going to happen in that show. And there's the kind of the performance or the version of that track won't be heard anywhere else unless you come in.
Because it's that unique element.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
live,
unique bit. Yeah, live. Yeah.
Fred again. Is that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
He's he's absolutely huge now.
Yeah, he's mastered that.
Yeah.
I saw a video today of him breaking down what him and the guy that's on stage with him, I think his name's Tony. Every show that they've been doing, when they go to different countries, they just chop up different like verses or choruses from rap artists from that country and load it into his like MPC or whatever it is he's using. and just fires off live remixes of
that's meant.
which
that's you want to go and see it.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
That,
and the people that are going to the shows in these countries, whether it be Holland or Belgium or wherever, will identify with those rappers and be like, wow, what an experience. You know? So there's definitely that kind of side of things coming into the market, and technology is driving that, and I think it's great.
Absolutely. Did you guys ever consider live?
We bought live equipment about 3 separate times and sold it 3 separate times over the course of 12 years.
I can relate there. MPC 40, fucking TR8, all this shit.
When all the new Roland stuff came out, we're like, yes!
And it's affordable, and it makes pretty much the same sound as like the old 909s, all that stuff. And then you get it, and you're like, this is actually like learning a whole new skill again. So then you have got to dedicate, you got to say to yourself, I'm willing to put 1-2 years into this. It's even ready to go into a live performance. It's a whole new thing.
Absolutely.
You've got to dedicate yourself to that. And I don't think I did the same, just sold it straight.
The problem that we had was we never kept our studio like computer up to date, because everything that we knew how to do and everything worked. So there was never any point in us upgrading into new operating systems or whatever, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But when we bought all this equipment, none of it would talk to the old firmware or the old software and everything. I remember we had Janssens come around to our studio, because obviously he's like a studio god, right? And like, mate, please come down and have a look at this and see if you can help us with the cabling. We just don't know we were going wrong. And he just looked at it and went, operating systems, oh mate, sorry.
Oh no.
You better upgrade your operating system. So then we did all that. And then our whole workflow got destroyed, because everything that we were used to using then hadn't moved on with the operating system. So it was like sacrifice what we were doing in the studio to try and do this live thing. But no, we still want to make tunes as quickly as we did.
Did that kill the flow a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh yeah.
That happened to me as well in Berlin when I moved studio. And just nothing could connect. It was just frustrating, but because the pressure, you're just still trying to make music as well. It's like, I haven't got this fucking time.
It's like, I can't wait to make something so banging out of all this new equipment, and then you're just like kicking it after like 20 minutes, going, just work, please.
Well, talking about you in the studio, your sound meaning Leftwing, Kody sound. From when I first met you, I'm not sure if you can remember when we first met. It was in Sunderland, and I'm sure you played Future Box Festival,
maybe,
with Infinity Inc. and Darius.
Yes, that makes.
That was like 2000. I'm gonna say 2011 or 2012.
I think it's 2012.
Right.
It was just after the Off EP came out. Yeah.
So your sound from then has obviously evolved massively into what it is now.
Sure.
You know, through Lost Records, your record label as well. Is Lost still kicking on? Yeah.
We're still doing bits and pieces with like a sister label, but we're looking to bring it back in 2024 full steam ahead.
Wicked. We look forward to seeing it.
I'm going to have anything to do with that if my bosses are watching. John's definitely doing all the R&R and that, and I'm not doing anything.
Disclaimer. We'll put a little thing at the bottom there in transcript. So Spinnin can see that. But obviously, as we've just been talking about there, the evolution of DJing has obviously gone through its stages.
Yeah.
As is your sound as an artist. What was the catalyst in that? Because when I speak to artists, they all have different reasons. Some stick with their guns and just make the same tunes for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
You guys have obviously adapted. So what was the catalyst in that adaptation or evolution, if you want, as time's gone on?
Just not getting bored in the studio.
Okay.
You know, it's just, you want to be creative. You're sitting there and you don't want to make the same thing over and over again. It kind of feels like cheating a little bit. I don't know if that's the right kind of opinion on it.
What do you mean by cheating?
Well, just keep making the same tune over and over again.
Oh, like the same formula.
Yeah, you know, it's like, but again, a lot of it was, the majority of it was just boredom. Like, you don't want to make the same tune. I remember when we had a big hit on Exploited, and we got all these remix requests come in, and we were doing them, and then we would get kicked back all the time saying, we wanted this to sound more like you were, or you weren't.
Yeah.
Well, no, those tracks had their moment in time. Like, I don't want to recreate the same thing over and over and over again because that was successful. Here's what else we can do. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Oh, no. I think it's great. I was just curious as to what that catalyst was, because I've spoke to some people, friends of mine, who've said, well, music changes like fucking fashion.
Sure.
And some people adapt because of the time.
Yeah.
And that's also a reason that's valid, right?
There's definitely an element of that as well. You know, it's also keeping things fresh and finding a new audience and seeing if the audience that he had originally keeps up or just follows through, or it's almost like a test. I remember reading things about authors like Stephen King who would just think, oh, do people just read my books because of they like this one? And he started an alias and put out loads of books under different names and ended up having like 5 of the top bestsellers under 5 different names in like the New York bestseller thing. And he was like, no, actually I am good at what I'm doing.
That's a good point.
Did
you find that though? You must have found out with gigs that like, at some points a lot of people were expecting you to play certain tracks.
Do you know what? I think that kind of era came in a little bit after we had like the height of our success. I think that's post-COVID thing where it's turning into a concert now, where people are showing up to see DJs play, and they just want to hear that DJ's music, and it is like we were always DJs. We were always scared to play our own tracks out, which sounds bizarre, but it's just one of those things where you're really taking a risk putting yourself out there, a piece of yourself and something you put time and effort into. And if it doesn't get the right reaction, it's going to ruin the rest of the set. So we were still kind of DJs in the sense where we were looking to play fresh music that wasn't necessarily ours. It was just stuff that we were feeling. And that kind of moved into having the radio show really helped with that as well. It was a case of I don't need to play all my own stuff.
Yeah, I know some people who kind of want to go out and just play a whole set of their own tracks, and I think that's admirable because I could never. Personally, I could never feel confident, even if the tracks that I knew were popular, people were kind of were expecting to see me play. That was sweet, but like new records I've been working on the last few months, there's no way I could just play back-to-back tracks. Constantly just worried that this isn't going to get a reaction. But I know this other tune's going to get a reaction, so I'm going to play that fucking tune.
I just find it a bit. Sometimes I get a bit bored as well because I've heard the track so many times in the studio. I'm like, oh, not this one again. I want to listen to some new music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So we still play. I Feel It still sneaks its way in.
Mate, I send him videos the last 2 or 3 years. We haven't kept in touch that often, but when we do speak, it'll be me sending him a video of me like just finishing a fucking bench press at the gym and be like, oh, it's this tune.
I Feel It. It's back on the gym radio.
I Feel It comes on everywhere on the radio and fucking in H&M. Like, it comes on everywhere. It's everywhere.
Do you still get a buzz from that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mate, it's got about 37 million players on Spotify. It's huge.
Silver disc for that about 3 months ago. So
a round of applause for that. Yeah, boy.
Where's like the most random place you've heard it played?
In Greg's in Tottenham Hale. while I was getting dropped off to fly to Ibiza, and then we went into Greg's just to get my kids something quickly to eat, and it came on in there.
Can I have 2 sausage and beans? And this is my tune, by the way.
I was just saying, my daughter was like, "This is my dad's tune."
Oh, that's fucking class.
So those kind of moments are fucking amazing, man. That's really cool.
How old are your kids, you?
My daughter was 16 yesterday.
Oh wow!
Wow. My son's 12.
So what sort of music have they got? Your musical background?
They do like music. It's definitely nothing to do with me what they're listening to.
Okay.
Some of the stuff I hear, I'm like, wow. What is that? Where are you?
Is that good for you to keep your eye?
Trying to keep my finger on the pulse, but they just keep bringing me this stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with it.
What the fuck is this?
My son was helping me out yesterday with some A&R, and he was my new little assistant. He's going through TikTok and going, "What about this one, Dad?" And I was like, "Oh, actually, that sounds like it might."
That's
be
pretty cool.
So let me go and see if I can sign that.
Man. Do you know when it comes to productions? Obviously, tracks like "I Feel It" were huge.
Yeah,
that was a solo tune. Was it solo?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, you had vocalists on there.
Yeah, I mean, there's an interesting story about "I Feel It." Was at this point, John had come off the road.
Yep.
And was just doing all the studio stuff. So I remember coming back from, I think it was playing like Cuckoo Land or something at Ibiza Rocks. And it was during the day, and all the stuff that I had was just far too heavy for 3 o'clock in the afternoon by Paul. So I remember coming back and saying, "John, we need something like Paul Wolford's Untitled with that piano. We need something that I can play during the day." And he was like, "Yeah." And at that point, he'd just got a studio in Toolroom Towers in Maidstone with the Toolroom guys, and he was knocking something up with piano in it. and Mark Knight poked his head through the door and went, whatever that is, finish it now.
Really?
So, yeah. So Mark sat in on a few of the sessions and really helped out with kind of finalising it, and then obviously it went out on tour room.
Amazing.
And
It's massive.
yeah,
Huge.
it was crazy. So, but no, sorry to take away from your point.
No,
that wasn't
fine.
a solo tune, but there's been many solo tunes.
Yeah, no, but I was trying to come on to the collab thing. So in terms of people you've worked, is there any that stand out as like really special collaborations?
I think all of them are, man.
Yeah.
It's like trying to pick your favorite child, which I still can't do. I would never do. Carmen and Raph.
Another
disclaimer, yeah.
You guys are going to be disclaiming up to the eyeballs by the end of this one.
Just covered in fucking writing all the way down.
We'll start halfway through, just scrolling along the bottom. No, but I mean, so much has happened over the years. And all of them have been really special, and just, you know, honoured to the fact that picking up on that I Feel It story, the fact that we were trying to make something like Untitled, and then it came full circle where Paul Wolford actually remixed I Feel It, was just like, I was like, you'll never guess what's going to happen. But listen to this, Paul. And I remember just telling him that, you know,
wow,
the fact that you've remixed this now
is incredible.
Really kind of made this full circle.
What did he say when you told
him? He loved it. He loved the whole idea of it. And he was like, onto John going, right, tell me about how you're layering these pianos and what you're using and stuff. And yeah, so that whole experience was just, it was off the scale. The way the whole thing happened and when it happened and the timing was totally unexpected. And I was speaking to someone about it today, not about this particular record, but just about things in general. It's always the things that you least expect that end up doing the best, you know.
That's a really good point. Like all the I had 2 or 3 like tracks that did like relatively well, the ones that were the most popular, and the ones like, for example, I did a remix of Lee Walker's Gotta Get Right, and I actually sent it to Lee, and Lee will attest to this. Lee's actually booked to come and chat with us in a few weeks. I sent it to him and I said, Lee, you can have this, but I fucking hate it. Don't put it out. And he went, mate, it's all good. Like, I really like it. And I went, I have no idea why. A month later, it goes out in promo. Marco Corola's smashing it at Amnesia Terrace. And I'm like, it's exactly that.
You never know, right?
You'd never know. So, but again, it's one of those things you've got to make the call right, because if you're putting a track out, you've got to know that that's going to be there forever under your name. It's kind of a double-edged sword, really.
Absolutely. You've got to be confident in what you're putting out. Absolutely. The same story. I think our 3rd release was Unexploited, and it was called Lost, and that's why we named the record label Lost after this track. But I mean, that was in the bin, you know. But the head A&R from Exploited was like, send us everything you've got. And I was like, John, I think there might be something in this track. He's like, no way, not doing it. Just send it in with like an hour. The guy was like, here's a contract. You know, it's one of those things, right? Yeah. My daughter, funnily enough, she used a really good analogy yesterday morning. Or was it this morning? I was dropping her to school. She said, your kind of music industry, Dad, is a bit like a 2p machine, where, you know, you get the fun fairs and stuff. You keep putting 2p's in, and then at one point you'll get the jackpot out. And I was like, yeah, actually, because you just never know which one of those 2p's is going to hit and make everything kind of fall into place.
It's kind of a numbers game, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Right? I mean, look, it's always going to be a numbers game as far as music's concerned, but as long as you're happy with the quality that goes out, then, you know, that's what you've got to be most excited about.
100%.
And I think there's quite a lot of pressure, because I think even though, like, me and Liam didn't have quite that success, I think we rushed so many tracks that we just weren't, like, now when I listen, I just was never happy with them. But because I sort of felt that pressure, I need to release, like, we need to get something, and we just end up releasing a load of shit. And I think in the you know, in the bigger picture, that actually hurts you a little bit, you know. Yes,
I think but that's always the creative's downfall, right? Is that you're never happy, you're never satisfied, and at one point you're just going to have to get that discipline to go, okay, I've done whatever I can with this.
The curse of the perfectionist.
The curse, right? It is a curse, absolutely.
Because nothing's ever going to be perfect.
No way, man. Even now, like in all things that I try and achieve, like didn't do enough on that. Didn't quite go to as, you know, planned, but things really do.
No, they definitely do not. So what would you say is, you know, your biggest moment? Obviously, we just talked about the remix there with Paul Wolford. Like, what's...
just getting the opportunity to leave our jobs, man. I mean, that was something that we strived for.
What did you do prior?
I was just doing any, like, shitty admin job I could do to just pay the bills. You know, I had a baby, and when we started the Leftwing Kody project, my boy was just about to be born. And when we started that, it was our kind of last throw of the dice for me and John.
How old were you when your son was about to be born then?
So he's 12, so I would have been 30.
Okay.
And, or 31, can't remember how old I am now. But yeah, John had a lot more to sacrifice as far as that's concerned. He was in a really fucking good job. And when the opportunity came up, we were both kind of like, okay, this is it. We can either jump in both feet now, or we can miss this opportunity and then look back on it forever as that was the point we should have done it, and just been full of regret. And neither of us wanted to do that, you know. So I think, the biggest moment for us was able to do music full time, because incredible. I think it's everyone's dream, right? Yeah. Everyone that's kind of involved in it, they just want to live their life and their passion through it. So I felt really lucky to be able to have that opportunity.
And I think that's so powerful as well at that age. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just shows that you just got to keep sticking up.
Yeah, man. I'm 44 in December, and I'm still here. So I don't think, it is an age appropriate thing. Look at Pete Tong and KL Cox and Adam Bayer and all those guys. They're all still going. But you're right. It's about going through your passion. This guy kicking around at the moment, Chapter and Verse, started when he was 39 or 40 and is breaking through now at the age of 43. Yeah, he's just like, he's just like, this is what I want to do. Fuck it. I'm going to give it a go. And I'm like, all power to you. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. And I signed one of his records. I was like,
did you?
There you go.
Out next week on Musical Freedom.
Well, if this was put
it's 2026.
This
is February 27.
Just on that, I mean, who do you think are going to be like the next KL Cox? Do you know what I mean? Like, who are going to be them next legend? Is there anyone that you think?
I don't know.
Do you know what we're trying to do? We're trying to pin him down on one thing. We're like, what's your biggest point? Like, what's your biggest moment? Yeah. And he was like, what's your best collab? And he said, no, fuck off. I'm gonna, all of them are great. And now what have you just asked him?
Yeah.
Who's the next KL Cox?
Who's the next KL Cox? You've got to give us
one answer.
One name.
You can go for free.
Oh, give him 3.
I mean,
three really good acts at the moment. Then people need to listen to.
Most of them will probably be well known, but I mean, I think the Martinez brothers are going to be around for a long time, and they're still pretty young in the grand scheme of things. But I mean, they started when they were 14 years old.
They've just been around for so long. They just seem like they
You think they're older?
Yeah, they should be. I mean, they sort of already are, like in that KL Cox era. But
I can see them still having that
longevity.
KL Cox longevity. KL Cox was doing it from when he was 20, whatever.
I suppose.
And he's now, must be near 60 or something, and he's still going, So I think that, the Martinez brothers have definitely got something about them. I think Fisher will still be going. I think he's
nailed it.
He's really kind of latched on to his audience and really kind of connected with them, and I think that is, in this day and age, that's so important.
His Instagram's meant. I'm not a big fan of his music, but his Instagram is just it's just fun. I just really like watching it.
And who else? I mean, let me go with 4. So I'd say Loco Dice. He'll still be going in a long time. That guy just oozes music. He's passionate about it. He's he's got so much like history within the scene as well. I mean. He was a big tour manager for a long time, and then transitioned into being. He used to do Team Mass. He was Team Mass's tour manager.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So I think Yusuf told me a story about him and Dice and Team Mass all at the side of a road in some desert trying to fix a pop tire.
Mint.
I think that was Yosef's first meeting up with Dice, was being involved in that story.
So obviously on tour then.
Yeah.
And in between gigs or between like airport
and getting a puncture and that was who else? What kind of a younger name can I pick?
Or maybe someone who hasn't got the status as those 3, but someone who's really popping through at the moment that you.
Alicia's doing a great job.
Yeah,
she's really killing it, man, and more power to her. And Fleur Shaw as well.
Yeah, she's really killing it.
Yeah, she's
It's funny because one of the last gigs I ever played was in Birmingham, and she warmed up for us.
No way.
And even then, she had I think everyone was there for her at that point. But she's absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
Just I see because her Instagram actually just went. It went viral, didn't it?
Yeah, I think there was music on.
Yeah, it got like crazy. It was such a cool video as well, and obviously, followers like it does just went up, and I see a lot of people just saying, oh, this, that, and the other about obviously just that growth straight. When she put out such a brilliant post, just like, guys, I've been working behind the scenes for this that
moment.
One video to go real has been 10 years of work.
Absolutely.
And I was just like, I messaged her straight. I was like, you fucking nailed it.
Yeah, I've got a really funny story about Flair Shaw. So 20, it was my, do you remember when we'd come back from COVID and I think it was 2020 or 2020. No, it was 2020. It was March. It was actually just before COVID kicked in. I had a gig and she was there, and basically I've been going through, I had a hiatus from Instagram for a good long while.
Yeah.
I just needed a break the last year. So I didn't go through any of my DMs before. Anyway, I ended up going through my DMs like before Amsterdam, right? Hundreds of direct messages on Instagram, which were, like hidden messages or requests.
Oh, yeah.
So I was going through, and there was one from Flair Shaw, and I was like, clicked on her name and went to her profile, and then saw how many followers she had, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
And then went to the message, and the message said, hi, she won't mind me telling this. It wasn't nothing bad about it. I wasn't embarrassing myself or anything. She said, hi, it was great to meet you last night. Obviously met her at a gig.
Yeah.
I've got your sunglasses. Can you send me your address? And I'll post them back to you.
Amazing.
Anyway, obviously I was going through them, and I was in Amsterdam, and I saw she was in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And I messaged her and went, you haven't still got them glasses by any chance, yeah?
What,
She didn't reply.
Of course
No,
she didn't.
she blanked me.
Waiting for that message for you for fucking 2 years, isn't it?
Fucking
Just
three.
like-
Flair Shaw, I'm sorry. You can have them sunglasses. They were shite H&M ones anyway.
Yeah, so it's great to see the girls killing it as well, man.
Right.
Sorry, Alicia as well. I didn't touch on that. I've got a lot of respect for Alicia. She was warming up for me like years ago, well before COVID kicked in, and she was always at the shows. Where even when she wasn't playing, she was turning up. She was being present.
Yeah.
She was giving demos out.
Yeah.
She was in the booth talking to people.
Involved, man.
Being involved as fuck.
Yeah.
And props to her.
Just being involved in the community. This is, I do a lot of kind of talks and panel talks and everything now, and there's just a lot of questions that I get about, how do you break through and how do you just be involved in your community, man. You want to be involved in this dance thing, you just be there, show that you're involved, show that you like it, show that you enjoy it as much as everyone else that's around you. That's definitely one way to do it. You can't just send an email now with a demo
people, book me.
It just doesn't work, man.
No.
People want to see that you have the same amount of passion or commitment as they do. It's not easy putting nights on. It's not easy running nightclubs. There's a lot of time and effort and passion going into it, and the last thing someone wants to do is open up an email saying, here's the SoundCloud link to my my music, even though I've never met you before. Please book me. So I think that's definitely important, and you're totally right. Alicia was always there, and
she still is now. I was in Amsterdam for ADE, and I went to Defected just to show my face and see the guys.
Yeah,
she was there.
Yeah,
she was there. She was
just
around people,
saying hi.
Came up, had a lovely conversation. I hadn't seen her in a while.
Yeah,
she was really down to earth. She said she was going to gigs and getting sleep and like being really switched on with it.
Positive
and really positive. And
awesome.
she's got her head switched on, and I think she's got real potential to be super successful.
So there was my 5 then.
Amazing. That was a lot. Only asked for fucking one.
I know. Great.
Here's something I wanted to ask you. Where is, because we've actually discussed this, where is your favourite, or even now, where's your favourite place to play? And I don't mean club, it could be country, wherever. Where's your favourite crowds?
Argentina was always crazy.
Yeah.
Always. I think we did about 3 different tours over there over the years. We played for, I think you might have played for them as well, guys that basically did like the Argentinian version of Elro. I can't remember what their names were now, but I mean, it was always on a Sunday, and they would sell out like 9,000 people on a Sunday.
What's
it called again? I'll text you and remind you.
Yeah, we can edit that in.
And it was just wild on a Sunday. like 9,000 people turning up.
So very Elro vibes. For people who don't know Elro, it's a huge party which originated from Barcelona, wherever you in the world you're from.
Spanish lessons coming into play.
I want to tell people
that's this private school education again.
I just put a TH in there. Chill out. It's a big party on a Sunday, which originated in Spain on a Sunday in just outside the airport in Barcelona. Crazy party. Then the brand went worldwide.
It was all about like the experience rather than just totally about the music, which was they took like theatre, put it into nightclub.
Live. Yeah, it was incredible.
And so there was this same kind of idea that I played for in Argentina at least 3 times.
And what were the crowd? How big were the crowd?
About 9,000 people, like on a Sunday.
What are people doing for work? That's what I always think on these parties.
Yeah, it's mad. Like the part of that tour, I played in Cordoba as well, and it was on Wednesday night, and it was like in a low ceiling place, just very similar to this, like 500 cap.
Sick.
And
unreal.
Promoter took me out for dinner and was just chatting with all his friends, and I said, is this normal then for a Wednesday? They're like, yeah, we party all the time here. This is a university town. I was like, all right, cool. I said, what are you all studying? He said, it's a doctors and nurses university. I was like, oh my God, you're going out to like 9 a.m. in the morning.
To hospital.
Wednesday.
Fucking hell. Take me to the next town.
On a Wednesday. I was like, oh, sick. That's good. Yeah, great parties in Argentina, absolutely.
Yeah. Did you ever play South America?
Yeah, I played Brazil.
Yeah,
I played Brazil. It was good, but the thing is, when I played Brazil, I was coming off the back end of very heavy part of my life in terms of the drug use, and I was saying the whole way there on the flight, I'm not going to do any drugs. Yeah. I'm going to Brazil, right? Stupid. I was like, I'm not going to.
Desperately trying to convince yourself that.
Right, and I fucking.
It's 4 quid a gram. It's 4 quid a gram.
Yeah, I got there. Obviously, I hadn't drank. Yeah, the first thing we get offered is gear, right? And never in my life have I ever not like had gear and then drunk. Yeah, so it's always the other way around. But he comes up to me straight away, the promoter. He's like, do you want a line? And just straight away I said, yeah. And then I sat in the toilet for about half an hour having a fucking panic attack because I hadn't had any drink. And it was obviously, it was super fucking strong shit as well. And I was like, fucking hell. There goes sober down the window. Yeah, so that was Brazil.
Yeah, I've heard it's powerful in Brazil.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Anyway, just on that, like we've touring, especially going to places like South America.
Yeah.
How did you balance that? Being a family man.
I had a very understanding family, to be honest. Celebrated my 20th wedding anniversary on the 25th of October.
Congratulations.
So
amazing.
My wife Barbara's been with me from the beginning and has helped push me and supported me throughout this whole thing.
So important,
she's always had my back, and then whenever there's been a phone call and I put the phone down and got to go to America for 3 weeks, she's like, cool, what dates? Let me know.
Nice.
And I've just
a fucking dream.
Lucky, I landed on my feet, and she's an actress, so sometimes she needs to go and do shows, and we'll be on a run for a while, and then I'll step in and make sure my diary's blocked out and can't go in and do any tours, and we really help and support each other. So I mean, that's been massively important for us over the years, for sure.
She gets the creative process as well.
Totally,
being an actor.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
She's you're on the grind with that as well.
Yeah, and it's a good combo.
Yeah.
And she gets to spend all the money. Disclaimer.
Also on that, so when it comes to touring, I mean, all 3 of us know that touring can be really physically and mentally draining.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that you do to kind of keep your, I don't know, mental health, physical health? Like what have you got any like kind of for people who out there are on the road?
Yeah.
Any tips for people kind of keeping your shit together?
It was definitely a journey. It was a learning process. I'm sure you guys would have experienced it as well. When we started touring, we were just like, whatever happens, and we'd end up in the worst hovels in Doncaster at an after party at 7 a.m. and being like, yeah, okay, so let's just get on the train to Manchester now because we've got to go play Sankey's. Like, I just roll up to the train station and be like, yeah, okay, and then just spend a week trying to recover. As you get older and you get wiser, you realise that you don't want to be in basements of doom on a Saturday morning. And
understatement. You come to and you're like, who the fuck is everyone in here?
Yeah.
What's going on? Oh, I've got me train in 15 minutes. I've got to go and check into my hotel as I have
somewhere in Barnsley.
By the way, I've realised I might be misinterpreted by what I said. I wasn't referring to like Doncaster as being a bad area.
Just a random name.
Just a house.
Yeah.
After we did a show in Doncaster that wasn't particularly appealing.
By the way, guys,
in the bright light of day,
those houses he's talking about are fucking everywhere.
yeah.
They're in every place. Doesn't matter what country you're in.
I've lived in a couple of them.
I think I've been the majority of them.
Yeah.
Could have been mine.
But obviously now you're doing it differently. You've got the 9 to 5, which means you've got a reason. Obviously you've got the family and you've got dependents. So you've got obviously a reason which is close to your heart to keep yourself right.
Of course.
Now you've got the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I assume that's having an impact on going to gigs and partying now.
It's choosing your battles, man.
Yeah,
you know, when I talked about the tour at the beginning of the show, when I went to the States, I was literally there for 2 days. I mean, I just drank water the whole time. Tried to get healthy meal in. It's difficult to do in airports and stuff. You end up going to some shitty burger place because it's 5 minutes away from the gate and you're running behind.
Yeah. But, and you're in America.
Yeah.
It's just all wings and burgers.
Yeah. Or if you want a salad, it's like $40. Oh, yeah. Cool. That's great. But yeah, just really picking your battles and doing some kind of stretching or exercise, just even in your hotel room if you've got the opportunity to do it. You know, John really helped me with that when he was still on the road. And before he stopped touring, he went sober for 2 years and was doing like, you know, meditation before shows and yoga and all that kind of stuff. So having that kind of influence as well really kind of helped me out and showed me the right path of, you know,
that's wicked.
Looking after yourself. You have to do it, man, because no one tells you what's coming. You know, no one goes, "Hey guys, listen up. You know, you want to do this for a living. This is not going to be easy.
4-day weekends ain't gonna last."
Yeah, absolutely.
Just on that, like, how is that transition going from, you know, obviously like partying at a lot of gigs,
sure,
and then going over to, you know, being more like self-aware?
Yeah, I don't see like that. I don't feel a difference in it. I might look like I'm not having fun. I don't know.
What do you mean? Because you're not?
Because I'm not like drinking and boozing and stuff, and you know.
You are. If I may say, you are quite a Larry drunk. I've got a lot. Like if you're drinking, I get a lot of cuddles, and I get a lot of like.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Jackie, lovely to see you.
That's still.
Sorry, cameras. Just knocked everything out of sync.
That still happens. But it just it's more instant once I've had a drink. I'd have to hang around for a couple of hours before you get a cuddle if I'm not drinking. But no, it's it's kind of knowing when to, you know, it's not even about enjoying yourself, you know, because a lot of people do this now without, you know, taking any extracurricular, you know, things to keep themselves going. And
was that ever an issue for you, the drink and everything else, the party, and was it ever become too much?
I wouldn't say it was like an issue. I definitely had to have a word to myself a few times and just be like, okay, that was stupid. You feel fucking terrible. So let's try not to feel that way again, because it's not really worth it.
Of course.
And you know, I'd put myself on trial for 2 weeks and see, you know, let's see if you can get through this. And then, like, oh yeah, okay, cool. And I guess that was more kind of questioning my own will and, you know, even asking the question, do I have something serious that I might need to consider getting help for, or am I able to, you know, work through it myself, or have discussions with my family about it and just say, I'm feeling like this, just to let you know, keep an eye out, but I'm going to try and do this to, you know, get over it.
That thought process, I think that's so powerful that you've had that, because
and having the support there from you, like having that support, I think was massive,
huge.
Yeah.
Because you don't really get that in the industry. Like as soon as you want to talk about drink and drug problems, a lot of people are like, "Not today, mates."
Yeah, I you know, I can't remember who I was talking to about this a while ago. It's just, it's ingrained in our dance culture, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
massively.
it's just there. I think especially in the UK, you know. I mentioned that John went sober for a while, and even when we were going to shows and saying to promoters or whoever was in the booth or who was in charge of the rider, and it's like, no, I'm not drinking. And they go, yeah, go on.
Because they want you to party, innit?
Yeah. It's like, no, go on. And John's like, no, I'm not. I don't drink. And it just got to the point where he decided to stop, you know, explaining what he was doing. Just say, I'm not drinking because I'm alcoholic. Because it was easier for him to say that, because if you say that, then people step back and go, oh, right. But then, because that's a line that you can't cross.
Isn't that interesting that you have to go to that extreme?
Yeah.
Mad.
It's almost you've got a problem if you're not drinking, which
if I said, do you want a cigarette? And you said no, that's enough.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But where it's alcohol, it's like...
Yeah, it's almost in its own category.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean?
Which is really interesting. I find that culturally.
It is
You're
culturally.
Right. Yeah. In the UK, it's massive because when you'll have known this, but you two are in the US at all?
No.
When you go to the States, obviously they drink, but they don't... They talk about Brits like... How the fuck do you guys drink so much?
Yeah.
But to us, this is just
normal. Yeah.
Like a warm-up session for us would be a whole night out for the majority of the guys in the States.
Yeah. That's because they're drinking White Claw, and it's about 2% alcohol.
Yeah, the last 4 or 5 years. But yeah, it is cultural.
Yeah, it is. It's that whole pub culture.
Yeah.
To kind of, if you're going to the pub, you've got to go for a drink. And actually, we're saying culturally it is in the UK, but a funny story, when I was at ADE, 2 guys that I was with from Spinnin weren't drinking, and we went out first night to have a pizza in an Italian restaurant, and I had a glass of rosé, and they were both ordered 0% alcohols, and the waitress came over and said, who's got the rosé? I said, yeah, that's me. And she went, and 2 zeros for the pregnant ladies. And I was like, at first I laughed, I was like, oh yeah, bud, haha, you've got a tip. And then I was like, actually, someone could have a serious reason of why
to not drink,
drinking.
or just not want to fucking drink.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Did you find, as like, and I don't know, maybe we won't be able to answer for John, but like, just going from playing and drinking and being in that party scene to then not drinking, did you feel like any added anxiety, or that you maybe were a bit more nervous, or that you couldn't connect with people on the same level for you know, not for the whole time, but maybe for when you first started transitioning?
I think the connection thing was definitely at the forefront of like, okay, am I going to be able to be on the same level of all these people that I'm trying to entertain if I am not in some way intoxicated?
Yeah, absolutely.
That definitely crossed my mind, because you just feel like, look, at the end of the day, I've transitioned from the dance floor and being a partier to the booth, and I've always trying to translate that, you know, energy back. So that was definitely on the forefront. And I think a few times that, you know, you do it, you feel like, oh, okay, actually, yeah, that worked. You know, there's nothing to really be concerned about in the future. You can, you know, go out and do this, and don't necessarily have to have anything to make you do the job that you love, because that's what you're there for, really. You know, I wasn't getting into music just to go and have a good drink every week. You know, I was doing it because I love music. So
I was doing that.
To drink.
I was going out. I was doing it to party, man. So obviously, the music was great. I was never really.
Can I drink?
Yeah,
that?
go for it.
Delicious Tenzing.
Natural energy, original recipe, plant-based. Yeah, then it goes to caffeine. I've discussed this with Eleanor as well, my wife, and told her that the reason I kind of really stuck in is because I was getting paid to have fun with my friends. This is how it started for me. We were having fun, right? We were going to a gig, we were running parties together. So you're around your friends. And then when it came to a point where I was getting paid to be around my friends partying.
Yeah.
So the music was obviously super important, and I loved music, but I would say it's probably 51%.
The driver was me getting paid to.
But then to get fucked up. But then it became so much as you get more success, then comes more money, which then comes more attention. And then I used to dampen the anxiety of going onto the decks. Became so strong that I was drinking to dampen the anxiety. And this is what happened to me in 2018-19. It wasn't so much about drinking because I wanted to be involved, which was part of it, but when I would get anxiety in the fucking hotel room before the gigs. So that was how it affected me, and that's how I dealt with it, was through drinking drugs.
And I think just on that, like, that's I think it's so important for like artists coming up now to really get a hold of that.
Yes.
Sure.
Even because like, you know, like you never know, like one track can literally take you to that next level.
Yeah.
I think it's better to be prepared
Sure.
than, you know, to just be enjoying that party, and before you know it, you just fucking gigging, you know, 4 or 5 times a week, and
Losing control.
But like you said, you can pick your battles.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here all high and mighty saying what I did was wrong. You should fucking not drink and ever do gear or whatever. Like, well, do what you fucking want. It's your body, right?
Sure.
But what I am saying is, like, exactly what you said. Pick your battles. And if you are looking to do this as a career, like, look at it as that
career,
right? Whatever career you choose, you don't choose to do that under the influence. At any career, you should be. Obviously, the hardest thing about this career is, as a DJ, touring artist, or musician, or whatever you're doing, if you're on the road, is that you're surrounded by yes men. You're in situations which is flooded with narcotics and with alcohol.
Yeah.
It's given to you on a rider which your agent sends to the promoter.
Yeah.
It's difficult to get away from it unless you change your rider.
Yeah.
Completely. So there's so many influences there pushing you the wrong way. So I understand that it's difficult. But I mean,
just on that, like, as we come to a close, like, given your experience, like, in the music industry, what advice would you have to, you know, any newcomer looking to come in, whether that's, you know, A&R, DJ, just trying to be a part of the scene?
Just try and be yourself, you know, just be you, an individual, and just show, you know, your passion, your creativity, and you know, as we mentioned earlier, just be involved in the scene, and regardless of what level you're at, just be involved with the local promotion in your local club, wherever you're from, and just be involved. And just pick your battles.
I think that's great advice in terms of being present.
Totally.
Chris, I think that's awesome because we live in this social media lifestyle, culture at the moment where everyone interacts on their 2D screens. People assume that you can send, it could be the best fucking tune in the world or the best mix or whatever it is. If no one knows what your face looks like and you're not there in the parties, you're never going to get anywhere, right? Being present is so important.
Absolutely. For sure.
That's how me and Liam started at Egg. We were just there every Friday, Saturday. Like, as soon as you had that one gig, that was it. I was there every single week until they fucking couldn't get rid of us. So, like, just to end.
The afters. It's called the afters. So we want a funny story from you about any afters. Give us a story.
There must be one with you involved somewhere.
Disclaimer. Jackie's not involved.
You know, it's going to be about a 20-minute episode.
Oh, man.
Any funny stories from, it doesn't even have to be after, at a party or whatever, anything from you guys on the road.
Yeah, he probably won't know about this, but in Boston, in a basement of Doom, I actually forgot what Christoph looked like. And when he said bye to me, I had no idea who he was, and I thought he was a promoter. And just, man, thanks for booking me. See you later.
Yes. He's a fucking big guy as well. I'm surprised he didn't fucking
distinctive features as well.
No, me and Chris got on like a house on fire. But that was like... And then I remember just walking around, like, you know, an hour later, and I was going to that, where's Chris gone? And he was like, you said bye to him about an hour ago. I was like, no, I didn't, man. I was no way. He was like, no, you did. I was like, is it time to get my plane to Seattle now?
That's class. Well, we'll end on that, mate. Thank you so much for coming in. Really
thank you, guys.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you, boys.
Really good to see you again, man.
Yeah, you
nice
too, man.
one.
Cheers.
Does
anybody know where the afters is?